This is video 2 of 4 for the National 5 bird feeder. In the first video I showed you how to set up an Inventor page and how to make the hanging rod. In this video we are going to look at the feeder case and how to set up the drone so that we can make it to the size that have been provided in the task. So in Inventor we want to go to File and New, and again we want to make sure that it's set to metric and that it says millimetres for the part. Now, just like before, we've got our tree down the side and all of our commands at the top. So we want to click Start a 2D sketch, and this time we are going to select the XZ plane. Now, if we look at the drawings given to us on the data sheet, we can see that the object is round, and again, similar to the hanging rod, it stays the same width all the way down it. So we can assume that, just like the hanging rod, that it would be extrude for the whole way down. So looking at the drawings, we're trying to get the outside of the circle. So we can see here that the 80, the diameter of 80, is the biggest circle at the top here. So what we're going to do is go to Inventor, click our circle and then our middle point, and we're going to make that 80. Now, the biggest mistake that people make with Inventor is that they try and do too much at once. So instead of trying to get this hollow at the very start, we're going to just make it a solid object and then build on top of it so that we can then hollow it the way through. So you can see here in the drawing that our 80 circle top to bottom is 200. So we will finish our sketch and click Extrude, and you can see here it's set to 10, so we're going to make that 200, and we have our tube at kind of 200 here. Now when it comes to the thickness of the walls, so how far the kind of hollowness is going to be, you will see that here it says that the inner circle, so the bit that we're going to hollow out, is 76. So back in Inventor, we're going to click 2D sketch and then the top of our circle, and on the top we are going to draw another circle and make that 76. Once done, finish sketch again. So you can see here that we have our original shape and then we have our 76 circle at the top. So we're going to click Extrude again. However, instead of it building on top of it, we're going to change the direction. So we're going to make it direction 2, which is just this orange square here. And you can see that it's automatically changed this here to cut. So instead of extrude, we're going to extrude subtract. So we're going to press OK, and you can see that we now have our hollow tube. So if we look back at the drawing, we can see here that we've got holes at either side and then a semicircle at the front here. However, by reading at the side, it says that the holes visible on this side of the feeder are repeated on the back of the feeder, directly opposite each other. So the hole here, there's a hole directly opposite, and what that's saying is that the semicircle here, there's also a semicircle on the back of it. So because our object is round, we can't just start a sketch on this surface. So we're going to have to create a flat surface in order for us to sketch onto it. And this is where planes come in. So down at the left hand side of your model tree, you can see that there's a little folder called Origin. We're just going to expand that folder, and you can see here that it gives us lots of different options of either axes or planes. So we want to find a plane that runs right through the centre of our object. So you can see this one's at the bottom, this one is through the centre, and so is this one. So I'm going to click, for example, the YX plane. I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to make sure that visibility is on. And it should turn orange to show you that you have turned the visibility on. So I've got a plane running right through the middle of our drone. I'm then going to click Start a 2D sketch, and I'm going to click the outside of the plane. And that means that I'm starting to sketch onto the plane. Now if I press F7 on my keyboard, it halves the object so that it makes it easier for us to see what we're drawing on. So F7 on the keyboard halves the object so that it makes it a bit simpler. So going back to the drawing, we can see here that the circle here is 5 in diameter, and that it's 6 millimeters from the very top down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select any point on this line, and I'm going to make a circle at 5. I'm then going to use my dimension tool to select the centre of the circle and the top line and bring that out and click, and we'll make that 6. And you can see that that automatically moves the circle to where we want it to be. So it doesn't matter where you've put the circle as long as it's on this centre line. You just make the circle at 5, click dimension, and then make sure it's the centre of the circle to that top line and make that 6. On the drawing, we also have this semicircle here. Now, it's in terms of drawings, what they like to do is kind of trick you and making sure that you can see here they've gave you a radius, whereas Inventor uses diameters. So a radius of 10 would be a diameter of 20 because we double it. So with our circle, right at the bottom point, we're going to make that 20 and press enter. And you can see that I've now got on my middle plane my little circle at 5, which is 6 from the top, and right at the very bottom, so the bottom line in the middle, I've got a circle at 20. So just like before, we're going to finish the sketch, and like what we done with the circle at the top, we're going to click extrude, and I'm going to select one of my circles and my semicircle, and you can see here it's looking a little bit silly. Obviously it's not set to cut yet, so it's gave you solid lines, and also it's only sticking out in the one direction. So we've got a couple of things we need to change. The first thing we need to do is change the direction. So instead of direction 2, which would just put it the opposite way, we're going to click symmetric, which means that it goes in both directions. Once we've done that, we're then going to change it to cut, so extrude subtract, and you can see here it's now cutting out the shape rather than the solid. I'm going to press OK, and there we have our casing with the hole at the top and the semicircle at the bottom. Now before we save, what we want to do is right click the plane and turn off visibility, just so that it looks a little bit nicer and that the plane won't be shown when we start assembling it. So like before with the hanging rod, we're going to go to File, Save As, find your OneDrive, and then call it like casing or whatever you would like to name it so that you remember it. And there we have our case.